picture the scenario. Let's say you get arrested. Luckily, you're able to get the case dismissed or resolved, and you eventually get your record sealed or expunged. So you think. Now, a couple years go by, everything seems fine, and you apply for that senior level position that you've always been thinking about. And when you apply, you're denied the position. And you go back, you ask them, hey, what happened? Why was I denied this position? And you find out it wasn't because of your qualifications. It was because of an offense that was on your record. Now, your thought is, I got the record expunged a long time ago. Why is it still showing up several years later? So if you're ever in the situation, or if you're currently in the situation, I want to explain to you what you should do if your record was expunged or sealed and it still keeps showing up on your background check. So there are 3 important things that you need to know. The first important thing that you need to know is the difference between an expungement and a record sealing. Now, an expungement will essentially delete the record. It's a higher level of protection than record sealing. Record sealing pretty much prevents certain people from accessing the record. In most situations, it prevents the public eye from seeing your record. So those are the 2 main differences between the 2. Now, I have a previous video that I explain all this, so if you want to know more details about the difference between an expungement and a record sealing, go ahead and check out that video. So for purposes of today, what you need to know is that an expungement carries more protections under the law than record sealing. Now, with that being said, if your record is still showing up, you will need to find out what kind of background check was run on you. So for instance, if you are in a situation where you are applying for a government position, if that government position requires some type of clearance, well, a record sealing may not really cover you in those situations. And oftentimes in situations where you're applying for high level positions, you may actually need to still disclose an offense that was expunged or sealed. So the point that I'm making here is that the kind of job that you're applying for actually matters. So another example that I can give is with record sealing, because it only shields certain people from accessing the record, you will have to find out if you are in a situation where the person who is doing your background check can access a sealed record versus an expunged record. So those are some things that you're generally going to need to also be aware about. Now, the second thing that you may want to consider is obtaining a copy of the order to expunge or seal your record. Most of the time, if you have to, for instance, file a motion to expunge your record or file a motion to seal your record, there has to be some order of the judge or order of the court that orders government agencies, law enforcement agencies, to expunge your record and to seal your record. And so getting a copy of this order of the court will actually allow you to see what the judge ordered, right? In some situations, there may not even be an order, right? Let's say you filed a motion to expunge or you filed a motion to seal, but you don't see the record anymore and the judge never actually granted your motion. Well, that could be a reason why that record is still showing up. It may be possible that the judge did grant the motion, but the order of the court was never filed with the clerk of the courts, right? You want to make sure that the paperwork expunging your record and sealing your record is actually in place, because if there's no order to expunge or if there's no order to seal, then nobody would be required to actually delete your record if it's expunged or seal your record from public view if it is sealed. So obtaining a copy of the order and understanding what the order says will allow you to determine if your record was sealed, if your record was expunged, and then to what extent. What is the effect of the expungement or the record sealing in your particular state where a judge may have ordered it? Now, there may be a situation where there is no order of the court. It could be a situation where there is an automatic expungement or an automatic sealing. So in those situations, the paperwork may be a little bit harder to find. Maybe there might be paperwork with the clerk of courts in the particular state, city, or county where you were arrested that shows that there's a record on file that the particular arrest that you had or the case that you had was actually expunged or sealed. But there should be some type of paper trail one way or another that shows that someone somewhere sealed your record. And so that brings me to point number 3. And so the third thing that you can do is have an attorney reach out to any law enforcement agencies or government agencies and see if they have any certifications on file that show that they actually complied with a judge's order or with a law that required that your record be expunged or sealed. For instance, in Washington, D.C., where I practice, the law enforcement agencies, the government agencies, they all have to file certifications with the court that say that they have complied with the judge's order, that they have sealed the record, that they have expunged the record, they've complied whatever the record sealing law or whatever the expungement laws are to ensure that you were provided with the benefit of the expungement or the benefit of the record sealing. That may not be the case in every state. So obtaining copies of those certifications may be helpful so that you are aware if all of the law enforcement agencies sealed your record or if some of them did not seal your record. There are multiple different law enforcement agencies that may have a copy of your record or may have access to your record. Let's say you were arrested by the sheriff's office, and then the sheriff's office transported you to the local police department. And then from the police department, maybe the U.S. Marshals transported you to the court. And all these agencies have some type of access to your arrest record or your criminal record. Did all of those agencies actually seal or expunge your record? Those are things that an attorney may be able to find out for you. So these are some initial steps that you can take if you're in a situation where an expunged record or a sealed record is still showing up on your background check. Most of the time, the issue is that the record wasn't expunged or the record wasn't properly sealed. And that's why it's still showing up. So ensuring that not only is there paperwork that says that the record is ordered to be sealed or expunged, but ensuring that the various agencies comply with that will be really, really helpful in you figuring out what went wrong and why that record is still visible and affecting you in other areas of your life. So I hope that information is helpful to you. If you have any other questions, feel free to comment them down below, and I'm always happy to answer your questions. As always, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you soon.